Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing new cards from the Heritage expansion for one of the funnest decks I've ever played in Standard. Now let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Skellige Blaze of Glory Alchemy deck, although technically you can also play this deck using Battle Trance if you'd like. The big thing we're trying to do here is spam a bunch of alchemy cards for a bunch of boosts. So of course that means that we have in Gedyneith Shadow that alchemy scenario, and along with that, we're going to get even more Crow Clan creatures on the board to get even more value whenever we use our alchemy cards. But we also have some new and reworked cards that are really exciting. So let's just take a look at everything. We do have one in particular big tier target for the evolved version of tier. So basically, you want to wait until you've won a round, then you play tier, and we'll talk about who we are going to try to bring back into our hand and get a big boost in just a minute. Nero, Consistency, Ale the Ancestors, major rework. So it now has Resilience, Zeal Order, boost a unit by 3, and infuse it with whenever this unit gets targeted by Mahakam Ale or Golden Froth, boost self by 2, cooldown 2. So basically 3 points every other turn, which is already not bad, especially on a card that has resilience. But since Golden Froth and Mahakam Ale are alchemy cards, we have extra benefit from playing those alchemy cards in an alchemy deck. So this is kind of a beer themed deck, and it's a lot of fun for that reason. Then we have the new Otkell card, which is very interesting. So on deploy, will damage self down to 1, and it starts with 1 power, except not really. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But then play all copies of Freya's Blessing from your graveyard and give them doomed. So basically, we of course want to have 2 copies of Freya's Blessing in our starting deck, and we do. You just want to try to play those early on before you play Otkell so that you have 2 of them in your graveyard when you play Otkell, otherwise not getting the big value from him. And that's a little bit tricky because of course you need to have cards in your graveyard in order for Freya's Blessing to work. So that's probably the most difficult thing about this deck, is you have to play bronze units early, so you get bronze units in your graveyard relatively early, so you can play Freya's Blessing early, so you can eventually play Otkell. So that is something you want to have in the back of your mind. Then at the start of the game, increase Otkell's base power by 1 for each alchemy card in our starting deck. Honestly, I forget how many we have. It's a pretty large number, so he does technically have somewhat high base power, but he's getting damage with the deploy ability. There are some creative ways you can maybe benefit from healing him back up, but for the most part, we're not worrying too much about that in this deck. Then Mushy Truffle. So this is another way to get a Golden Froth for more of the alchemy synergies and a bonding unit. It's a Crow Clan creature, which is the primary card we benefit from getting the alchemy boosts on. Then Igni, this is actually one card we can swap out, and we'll talk about the card you might switch it for. Basically, this is our only form of control, so felt kind of necessary to have a way to punish your opponent if they're getting really aggressive on their boost. So for that reason, I did choose to use Igni here. Technically, one alternative you could use in place of Igni is the new Heulyn card. This just came out as well, and at the beginning of the match, start with 5 units in your graveyard, which the reason why that's important is what we were just saying with Otkell. It is very useful to have extra bronze units in your graveyard early, so you can use Freya's Blessings early, and then you can use Otkell more easily as well. So this is sort of a shortcut for that, so it makes it much easier to play the deck. Technically, it is still very much possible to go without using Heulyn here, and that's why I try to use Igni instead. But if you're having trouble with Otkell, then this is a way to make your life a little bit easier. Then of course you also have the deploy ability to boost all allied humans when you play her, and so if you play her near the end of a round, then you can get decent value there as well. But back to the cards that we definitely want to include in the deck. Axel Three-Eyes, it's a druid, so he can help us proc our scenario, and he's a solid point slam. Generally, you're going to want to use him in the melee row. Then Draig is the other card that synergizes really well with Tier. So basically, again, we've yet to see the card that you want to target with Draig, but we're going to use him to increase the power of one of the cards in our graveyard. That way, when we bring him back into our hand with Tier, it's going to get a really big boost and turn it into a nice finisher. And here is the card that we've alluded to many times before. It is the Greatsword, because a little while back, it gained the Veteran tag, which means we can power it up with Draig, and it already starts with 10 base power, so it's gonna get pretty humongous. Then the Freya's Blessings, as we said, we want to have a couple of those in our starting deck, and again, you want to use them pretty early and aggressively, because you're going to get them back with Otkell. Then we mostly just have some low provision alchemy cards, although don't forget the Mahakam Ale. You have the extra benefit from using that in combination with the Ale of the Ancestors. And similarly with Golden Froth. Golden Froth, technically, although it hits 3 units, it is only the one in the middle that you manually target that benefits from the Ale of the Ancestors infusion. So that's a little way you can make sure you're min-maxing your points. Rhizome, another one that, it's not a very high priority, but it is an alchemy card. Hermit, mostly just a filler, and it's a Druid, so it can, in an emergency situation, be a way to proc your scenario. The Invader is kind of a backup plan in case, for whatever reason, you can't get your Greatsword to work. Then, Crow Clan Druid, solid Druid, because we're going to have a fair number of crows between our scenario, Axel Three-Eyes, and our stratagem. All have ways to get crows on the board, and we have plenty of alchemy cards for her to target. And then, obviously, as we were saying, the Preacher is definitely our primary Druid that we are building around. So that's a look at the deck. It is primarily about alchemy and getting big boosts from that, especially with the new beer-themed stuff with Ale of the Ancestors, which is a lot of fun. But then we also have the Tyr plus Draig combo to increase the power of a already quite large Greatsword once we get it back into our hand with Tyr, or you could bring it out eventually, once you have Tyr on the board, using one of those Freya's Blessings, and at that point, it's going to get absolutely ginormous. So this deck is a ton of fun. Now let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and we'll go first. Alright, so we want to be spamming our bronze units in round 1, and Scenario is a great way to do that, along with another Crow Clan Preacher and this Druid. Draig, we might play round 1, depending on how long the round is going. We'd obviously love to have him on the board for a while. Round 2, round 3, though, might need to wait for him on that occasion. Then Rhizome and Mardroome, I think we can dump those. Ale of the Ancestors is very nice. Golden Froth, potentially expendable here. Well, to tell you the truth, I think this is the right balance. So having an extra alchemy card for the Druids to use isn't a bad thing. And we might just go straight off the bat here with a Gedyneith Shadow, or maybe even this Crow Clan Preacher first. Let's go straight into it. So of course that means this is our primary win condition for round 1. Okay, Fisher King. Oh, I'm highly suspicious. Is this the new Monsters Mill? Did they just put the Regis Bloodlust at the top of their deck and they're about to switch it with our top card? I don't know, but I'm a little concerned about that. I think we need to be aware of that possibility at the very least. Let's play our other Preacher now. That'll get these guys going, and I suppose if they try to put Regis in our deck, we could Mask of Boros, discard it? Yeah. I think we have some ways to deal with that if they do get clever. Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, it's Monsters Mill. It's new Monsters Mill. Wait, what the heck? That's not even the right... You did it wrong. What the heck, man? I mean, I know I have been, possibly the #1 mill hater since who knows how long, but this is gimmicky enough that I might just support this one form of mill. It's mostly, the Kingslayer Nilfgaard stuff that I hate. But okay, let's get a Crow Clan Preacher out, or rather a Druid out here. Activate the last chapter, and why don't we just boost you? And we could do this to get another Mardroeme or Rhizome. What's our preference? Might be Rhizome. Lots of crows. Okay, Detloff. I mean, now I'm confused because I totally thought that they were about... I mean, they did do the 2 cards I was expecting them to do, but they did not target the thing I was expecting them to target with Fisher King, so that's throwing me a little bit off here. Oh, right, there was some question as to whether we were going to play Draig. I think we probably would have had to have used him on a 1 or 2 turns prior to get good value out of him. So at this point, probably just going to say no to him. And instead, we might go for another Druid. Otherwise, we could go Mask of Boros. I mean, I was kind of trying to save that. Why don't we just get rid of you, the junk that you gave us? I was going to use that as a way to get rid of the Regis Bloodlust. But since you didn't do that, maybe that's not necessary. And, however, if they have other ways to mess with Regis Bloodlust, then that would have potentially meant that we want to be careful about passing early. Which I bring up because we have twice as many points as our opponent, and I would like to pass early. The other thing we can do, though, is we can go leader ability. If we probably still wanted to do that on our previous turn, and use that to get a Greatsword into our graveyard and get some decent damage. We might just end up waiting to do that instead, though. So I think we will pass here. There's still a slight chance they might find a way to get Regis Bloodlust in our deck or something along those lines. Basically, we're betting that they can't put up enough points to catch us here in 2 turns. That's a pretty solid play there. And you'd have to imagine that they can catch us on this next turn, in which case, or they could do that. You know, fair enough. Very high tempo with the Detlofs. Are they going to go something like Witch's Sabbath in the future? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so we draw into Tyr. We don't really want to use him until he evolves. Then he becomes a great card to synergize with Draig and with this Greatsword, which we do not really want to have in our hand. We want to have it in deck. Then don't really love Rhizome. So the question is, they've played one more card than us. How aggressively are they going to push? I thought it was going to take them at least one more card to catch us, so it is a little more of a risk that they try to push here for the 2-0 than I was expecting them to. Although, we have several cards that we are totally fine with keeping on the board here. Okay, we are immediately destroying Dagon with our leader ability. No questions asked. No questions asked. You're gonna try to break out an unprotected Dagon and expect us to just let you do this? I honestly am offended. I'm honestly offended that you thought we would let you do this. Yes, obviously, well, it would have done some things if it had anything to do, but it didn't. So, I guess now we'll drop Draig. Oh, right. Getting mixed up his deployability with his order ability. I was like, where'd the Greatsword go? There he is. So now, of course, we would actually like this round to go a little bit longer so we have time to gain more value from Draig, but we'll see. Okay, Succubus is potentially an engine, given enough time to set it up, but speaking about how we are not opposed to having this turn into a long round, Ale the Ancestors has resilience, so we're totally fine with playing it here. Tempo-wise, it's enough, and so why not, in that case? Boost up Draig a bit, and it means we could Mahakam Ale a little bit later on and get more value. We'll continue to use his order to power up the Greatsword. Okay, Foglit. Sure. Some threat that it's gonna deal extra damage to Draig. But in and of itself, not a huge issue. I think we might be looking at them doing Intrigued Warrior on these two on their next turn. Kind of wanted to go Hermit here next to Draig, give it a little bit of time to gain value, although that does kind of set up Foglit. Maybe that's not a terrible thing. We do still have enough bronze cards in our graveyard that I'm not actually too concerned about having Freya's Blessing as targets, which otherwise might be a bit of an issue. So maybe that means Hermit's not a huge rush, but I think it's still probably the best choice because it is a bit of an engine, and technically speaking, we'd like to wait on Mahakam Ale and Golden Froth until we've used Ale the Ancestors a little bit more. Alright, no, it's Giant Toad. Okay, fair enough. Just a different form of consumption. Either way, they will get the fog out, but, I mean, technically you're actually a pretty decent target to receive the damage, because you're going to continue to heal yourself off. We'll do this. This is backfiring on them. Unless they have a way to remove a card from our graveyard, they could be in a lot of trouble quite soon. Then Freya's Blessing actually is okay here. We probably will go for the Invader, to be honest with you. Otherwise, it could be a Preacher. Depending on how aggressively we think they're going to try to push here. They are pushing kind of aggressively, so maybe we will do that. The nice thing about Invader is it has Veil, so you're not going to get the Doom status from using this Freya's Blessing, which means we'd otherwise not be able to bring back a Crow Clan Preacher, which is obviously an engine, which is kind of nice for us, but since they are kind of being aggressive here. Guess we'll do that. I don't love that you're now the lowest card there, though. Okay, Giant Toad again. So this is where their absolutely blind greed and lack of a plan is 100% going to backfire on them, because we messed up their original plan with Dagon, and they really don't want to be making this round go any longer, because we are getting huge value with Draig. And we're also setting up bigger Ale the Ancestors combos, which we might break out here. I think we will, because otherwise we're going to lose Crow Clan Preacher at the end of this, or start of our next turn. So why don't we go Golden Froth? We'll target you. For what it's worth, Golden Froth and Ale the Ancestors, the infusion only counts for the primary target, the middle target of the Golden Froth. So, for example, if we were to put it on the Crow Clan Preacher, it would not have given her extra power. But now we can do this once again. So you're going to get huge. I mean, you're already huge. You're going to get bigger still, because we're probably about to hit you with a Mahakam Ale. Technically, the longer we wait, the bigger you become, but we really don't want to use Tyr until he's evolved. And Igni is not possible yet. Otkell is technically only can have one Freya's Blessing, so that's really the biggest thing we're looking for here, is another Freya's Blessing to play in round 3 to set up a bigger one, but that's pretty huge tempo there, so that's not bad. We will certainly have tempo in round 3. Alright, and they will use Mardroome. That is the card they took from us. It's not that valuable, but the problem is, at this point, we kind of are forced into playing a card we really didn't want to play. It's probably going to end up being you. It's not as effective as we'd like it to be, because you only have one Freya's Blessing to target, whereas we would have liked for it to have been 2. But it's either that or a bricked Igni. Actually, Igni does work here. Igni does work here, so I think that's definitely the answer. Yes, technically we're triggering the Death Wish, although you don't have another Succubus in your graveyards. That doesn't really matter, and even if you did come back out, you're not going to be at 15 power. So I think... well, it doesn't work anymore, Lids. Great job clicking on that button first. Okay. Hopefully that's not going to make a difference, but yeah, no, I messed that up big time. Yep, I saw the big shiny button and clicked on that first. And then there's no way to cancel it. And they are probably going to get away with a bad turn. That, okay, I mean, sure. We will still beat them in this round, and we are still going to play the Otkell that we were assuming we were going to need to play anyway. So just ignore the silly, shiny green button that Lids insisted on pressing before playing Igni. That's not important. What is important is that we are definitely still in a strong position here in the next round, because we're going to do this, but get you out, and as long as we save you, we're not getting you out yet. So really this can be just about anything. Again, the Invader is actually kind of nice because of the Veil. And then this will still come off cooldown in time, so we'll be okay. So just ignore what happened with Igni. Everything is fine. Everything is going 100% according to plan. Okay, so Tyr is the big thing we're looking to play around here. We have card advantage also, for what it's worth, for round 3, so don't forget that either. We do want to have a card that we're basically sacrificing when we play Tyr, and that could end up being the Hermit, so that's fine. Mahakam Ale technically does synergize with Ale the Ancestors. Short round 3, that might not be a huge factor. Oneiromancy obviously is really nice. Probably use that for either Axel or for the Mushy Truffle. Maybe we can get one of those cards here. Okay, well, it is Axel. So, in that case, I think it is still going to end up being probably Tyr first. Which means Tyr is going to end up being the target of the Ale the Ancestors in all likelihood. But so now we go for you. So this is why I was saying we were totally fine with a long round 2, because they were never really threatening us as long as we got rid of that Dagon. And this is a pretty huge finisher that they are not going to have time to answer. Whatever you play first in this round is going to end up being your Ale the Ancestors target, and you always, pretty much always, want to go all in on targeting that one card, because you're probably only ever going to target whatever has the most infusions, so that means Tyr is going to end up getting pretty tall when everything is said and done. But now let's probably end up going Oneiromancy into, I think, Mushy Truffle, which will give us a Crow Clan Preacher while also giving us access to a Golden Froth. That's kind of the best of both worlds. Let's do this. Put you next to Tyr, and leave Tyr in the middle, because again, Tyr is going to end up being the target of that Golden Froth in all likelihood. Whispering Hillock. Okay. Decent value on Bruce, which will, if they can get the consumption, which they obviously will here. Okay, so now we're going to, again, go all in on targeting Tyr here, because that's going to end up being the Golden Froth recipient. We'll go Axel. We want to put stuff next to Tyr, and plenty of crows now as well. And then this is our big finisher, along with we'll use Mushy Truffle to order ability to get a Golden Froth and get value from clicking on Tyr. Alright, Oneiro. What's their finisher? We'll see. Goliath, I mean, it's a point slam. It is a point slam that it's just enough to overtake us. Good, because, you know, I was going to say this is going to be pretty BM to take this last turn, but I did want to show you it. So again, you want to target Tyr. That's the one we gave the infusions to. And there you have it. Humongous round 3 finisher. Alright, so going up against monsters here. And they'll go first. Alright, so I like scenario in round 1. We like, in general, getting a lot of our units out here so that we can use the Freya's Blessings fairly quickly in round 2 or so. Probably don't need this many Hermits. That might be overkill. We want to try to keep, however, some of our warriors in our deck. Okay, Catechin. We might even use leader ability to take that out. Especially after they did that. That's not a terrible card for us to go after with the Greatsword. So I think we might go with that immediately. Where'd you go? Right there. Gives us thinning, of course, solid value with the removal. That was an engine and a high base power card. Then let's drop scenario. So this helps us get at least one unit that will go into our graveyard at the end of the round, and then hopefully several more coming soon. Okay, Bruxa, of course, we're expecting for them to do a lot of bleed. So now, why don't we do this? In fact, wait, hold on. Thought we had other creatures in our hand, but no, I think they were all the normal druids here. Now we will get, of course, some crows to work with. So we can do this if we'd like to, and then that could give us more crows for you to go after. However, would we rather wait for Mardroeme to replay? Nah, I think this is fine. I mean, I guess against specifically vampires and bleed, if they're about to drop a blood moon, then maybe going... If they're about to drop a blood moon, then maybe going wide is slightly worse. So, alright, fair enough. Fair enough. So we could go with our other Crow Clan Druid here, which we probably do want to do. So that way we have some units we can bring back with both our Freya's Blessing in a later round. Let's do this. This will, of course, trigger the last chapter of the scenario, and I think we'll go for you, since we'd rather not make that any bigger than it has to be. Why don't we get rid of you, and we'll reuse the Mardroome, and we'll use it here. So now we can end the round basically whenever at this point. They'll go with an Alp. So we have a pretty large lead, which is obviously good, but it's still a little early, and if we were to pass here, they could probably still catch us. So that much is not great. We don't want to play Tyr until he's evolved, so we'd like to wait on that. Out of curiosity, I mean, probably shouldn't break out an Igni right now. No, it's way too early for that. We could go Hermit. I'm kind of tempted to try Hermit here and see if we can get rid of a crow or two, and maybe that minimizes the effect of their Blood Moon. It is, of course, adding another card to the row that has Blood Moon in it, but maybe only to remove some and make it harder for them to get value out of this later on. Arcane. Okay, we might consider passing here. Let's just see how the numbers add up, because we're up by 12. We are going to lose 3 points to bleed. So we're going to be up by a little less than that, and basically we're daring them to score that many points in one turn. Is that possible? So they, remember, have already played one more card than we have here. So we could go for Mahakam Ale, I guess. We have a Preacher on the board, so it's worth something, but it's not great value. We'd prefer to have set up Ale of the Ancestors to give ourselves better value from that. I mean, technically, we could go Freya's Blessing, but no, we don't want to do that. We want to set that up more later on. Okay, we'll just go for one of these, I suppose. We'll go, sure, use one of you guys. And hopefully, this is now large enough lead that they cannot catch us in one turn, because they would need to go in the lead here. No, okay, so we're going to win on even. And I think we've set ourselves up pretty well here, long term as well. So Tyr has evolved, so technically he's now playable. Presumably they have Regis, so that's what we want to use Igni on, and since we have last say, we should wait to play him at the very last turn. Probably still want to keep you in deck. Otkell, that's great to draw into you. We want to use the Freya's Blessings then to benefit from that, but we could use some more discard. Okay, Oneiro, nice, nice. So we also still have you for a point slam, but Draig is sort of the key engine we'd like to build around here to set up a later tier. Could end up using tier in this round. We could go 2-0, but that remains to be seen as to whether that's worth doing or not. I think it is going to be Oneiro turn 1 into Draig, and we're going to see how long we can get him going for. Now, of course, we do have one other veteran card we just put in our graveyard, but we'd prefer to build around that Greatsword, so let's target you. So we don't need to win this round, because of course we won round 1. We're just going to kind of play it by ear and see if we are being competitive enough to make it work, but I'm going to drop Ale of the Ancestors on our next turn, because that has resilience, so why not? And it means buys us a little more time with Draig to continue to power that up. Okay, Cave Troll is interesting. That's going to be what? I'm blanking out on her name, but the one that gets boosted from the number of cards that have bleed on them, who's locked to the range row. Presumably that's why they put Cave Troll there. But maybe we can bleed that out, and they're going to be relying on having a big point slam for a short round 3, but we'll use Igni to shut down that card. So I think now we can use the Freya's Blessings. This will be to get some cards out and make it so that Otkell has cards to target. So we'll go Freya's Blessing, and debatable as to which ones we want to go for here. It depends on, you know, are we trying to get the Preacher out and build around that and play a little bit more aggressively in this round, or actually kind of like the Invader here, because it's not the card we're targeting with Draig, and but it does have Veil, so it doesn't get the Doom from Freya's Blessing that you would usually get, because otherwise we can run a little low on targets for Freya's Blessing, because remember, we're going to play the 2 original copies, then we're going to replay both those copies with Otkell, so that means that you need a lot of targets. Okay, and technically I should have put you, I would say normally you want to put those next to each other in case we had a Golden Froth. It's not going to matter here, because Mahakam Ale is going to be the card we're going for. So we probably will go for this Freya's Blessing here. And again, if we wanted to be aggressive, we'd go Crow Clan Preacher. We're saving you for Tyr. Should double up on that. And then I guess we don't have any crows to target, so I mean I'm half tempted to go Hermit here, to tell you the truth. Normally, we'd like to see more of the Preachers. If we had actually gotten some of those, then we could have more aggressively targeted them with those Freya's Blessings, but since we only had the one we created from our scenario, kind of trying to save that for when we use Otkell in later rounds. So here they're getting aggressive. So we might lose our chance to have card advantage in round 3. If we had passed a little bit earlier, we might have been able to make that happen, but basically we're relying on having Igni to remove their big finisher, and having Otkell for big tempo, and Tyr as well for big tempo. So I think what we'll probably do is just Draig one more time. We'll use Mahakam Ale here. We've powered you up a couple of times with the Ale of the Ancestors infusion, so that's worth a decent value. But this is probably where we'll pass, because now we're starting to look at all of our high-tempo cards, and those are the ones we probably want to save for round 3. Okay, there's Oriana, is the one I was referring to, or alluding to before, whose name I could not remember. But yeah, so these are some big cards, of course, Fletters and Oriana. So now that they've committed those in round 2, we've bled out a lot of their big cards, so it should mostly just be Regis who's concerning at this point in round 3, and again, we'll have last say, and that's what Igni will be used for. Presumably, they'll have at least 25 points in that row, and we'll have some tempo of our own, and this still has resilience, so I think we have a lot to build around in round 3. Alright, so we draw into Mushy Truffle. That's another source of an alchemy card with Golden Froth, and another source of Crow-Clan Preachers, so that's great. Rhizome, probably not great. Axel Three-Eyes and the Preachers we have still in our deck are the big cards we're trying to get right now. So there's Axel, so that's good. Okay, so I think this is probably as good as it's going to get for us, realistically. We don't have a ton of time in this round. It's relatively short round, so maybe there's something to be said for not going as aggressively with the Preachers. Okay, so technically speaking, whatever we play first is going to be the thing that we target with Ale of the Ancestors, and you kind of want to stack as many infusions as you can on one target with Ale of the Ancestors, because that way you're getting the most value out of using your beer cards. So for that reason, we might want to go Oneiro Pro-Clan Preacher at the very beginning here. And then maybe after that we'll go Otkell. So let's do this. I mean, otherwise you can make the case that one of the alchemy cards at the end of the round might have been best, but let's do this. Target you. Okay, Unseen Elder. Oh yeah, actually, tell you the truth, we don't have a great card to swap here, right? Not really sure what we're going to discard, to tell you the truth. Might need to be Axel, good as this would be. That's one of the downsides for having all of our best cards in round 3. Would like to have actually had one bad throwaway card there. Might have even been Oneiro, to tell you the truth. But, okay, so I think we will still go with you now. So we get all of our action going here with the double Freya's Blessings. Now, technically speaking, there is actually I think you could probably make a case for getting Tyr down there first, because that counts as getting them out from our graveyard, so we would have actually gotten the base power boosts on them. Okay, we did row stack a bit, fair enough. But now, sure, why don't we go for Tyr? So we'll do this. Question is, what are we getting rid of? I think it's probably Axel. I mean, Mushy Truffle, yeah, actually, Mushy Truffle would have been even better than Otkell on that turn, because that would have been even more Crow-Clan Preachers on the board to experience the boost from using the Freya's Blessing. So we got the order a little bit wrong there, but hopefully you can still get the general idea. Basically just trying to get the Preachers down early before you start playing all of the alchemy cards. But, I mean, is that reason enough to drop you? No. No, I don't think so. I think you still do this. And we definitely want you. We invested quite a bit in that. I think we'll dump you. Then, still going to target you. So this is going to get pretty tall. So if they have tall removal, it's going to be a great target for it. Actually, as Purification, they should have gone for that. Really should have gone for that. But, okay, so we have a big finisher. We can't play this on our very last turn, so we're going to need to save Igni for that. But we should get Mushy Truffle going. As I was saying, if anything, in truth, we should have done that a little bit earlier. We don't... we should still put you here to benefit most from the Golden Froth we're going to have from the Mushy Truffle. even if it means adding one more card into a row where we're gonna have a lot of stuff taking damage from Blood Moon. This guy's probably not lasting long. It's the primary reason. Alright, Alp. So, some question as to whether Igni is good. Yeah, there you go, that's why. But some question as to whether Igni is going to be able to get the removal we're looking for here, because, is it going to be a 25-point Regis? I don't know that it will be. But okay, so now we continue to load up on that. And now we're going to want to go here, and well, we could go Mushy Truffle right now. It's slightly preemptive, but I deliberately put you in the middle because the Golden Froth only gives the boost, the extra boost from the infusion, if it is the middle primary target. None of the adjacent units will get the extra value. So I think we'll do this. And I guess we'll do that. Just play a little bit safe there. So even if Igni doesn't work, we should have enough points on the board now that, assuming this is Regis, we'll still be okay. No, it's a Plumbered. Okay, well, never mind then. They are 1 point away from being igniable. But, as I was saying, enough points across the board here that won't matter. So there's a look at a Skellige deck using cards from the new Heritage expansion and cards that just got exciting reworks. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below letting me know what other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.